Hey everybody, Jim and Eric here with Cary Elwes, here to talk about his new memoir, As You Wish, Inconceivable Tales from the Making of Princess Bride.
That's right.
I got that right?
You got it.
Okay, it's a mouthful, but okay. So, how long had you wanted to write a memoir of Princess Bride? Because if memory serves, I believe, didn't you do a lot of like home movies while you were making the movies? So it seems like you were always documenting it in some
Yes, I
fashion.
didn't keep a diary, Jim. I wish I had. I did film a little bit because I rented a camera while we were shooting in Derbyshire, and I thought someone should document the behind the scenes a little bit on film, because I noticed it was early days. There were no kind of press crew or anything like that, or EPK on the set. So I thought, well, I'll just go around and film a little bit. And so I got some fun footage, but I should have kept a diary, really, because when it came to write this, it's over 25 years later, and my memory, it's not as good as it used to be, but I was enormously grateful in that Norman Lear, who produced the film, gave me a wonderful suggestion. He said, I'm going to give you all the call sheets from the film, and then when you read all the call sheets, you remember where you were each day, and it'll help jog your memory, and of course it did. So that was enormously helpful.
Yeah, I was curious if you also had, did you speak to any of your castmates or crew about their memories? Although I know that can get weird because sometimes people remember things a little differently.
Well, I didn't write the book on my own, Eric, actually. I was very fortunate. The whole cast, at least the ones who are still with us, are in the book as well. So it's I can't take full credit for the book. It's really myself, Mandy, Billy, Robin, Chris Guest, Chris Saran, Wally, everybody sharing their anecdotes and their memories. And no, it was wonderful. It's really, I think, the quintessential making of memoir. And probably, I don't think there'll be another one. I think this is it. Yeah.
Well, I was curious, as you were kind of putting the book together, was there anything that you felt like you had kind of uncovered or possibly anything new about that experience that kind of came to mind, that you kind of discovered as you were doing it?
I didn't know that Wally Shawn was convinced he was going to be fired. I noticed he was very nervous while we were filming. I didn't know why. I thought he was part of his, maybe it was part of his method and how he was creating the character. But he seemed unduly anxious during filming. I didn't find out till we interviewed him for the book that he thought that he was going to be fired, that they were going to replace him with Danny DeVito, which I don't know where that came from, because Rob Reiner said that he just never had any idea about that, and never thought about replacing him. But for some reason, I think his agent had told him that the producers or the studio wanted Danny DeVito, so he said he was haunted by the memory of what Danny might have done in every scene. But he was wonderful. I mean, you look back on it, you really can't think of anybody else playing that role. And he was so wonderful in it. So, yeah, I learned a few things from the book.
That leads me into his paranoia. Leads me into it's such a like joyful movie to watch. It's such a feel-good movie. People love to watch it over and over for that reason. But making it, movies are hard work and long days. But overall, was this just a very pleasurable experience making this film?
Well, as I talk about in the book, it really was. I mean, it really was joyful, and it starts really with the director. Rob is just an incredibly sweet guy. First of all, he's an actor. Yeah. And secondly, the first people he cast were his two best friends in the film. And he didn't do it for nepotistic reasons. I mean, he really did cast them brilliantly, I thought. I mean, Chris Guest is perfect as the six-fingered Count Rugen, and Billy is Miracle Max. I mean, just flawless. So, he's just a great guy to work with, and he handpicked a lot of the crew. So he knew he wanted to make it a journey that was fun for everybody and for himself. And, look, I've made a lot of movies where we had a lot of fun making it, and not always are they successful. So it's rare when the two things collide, where you had a great time and the film is joyful as well. So I think we were blessed, really blessed.
Well, I feel like Rob Reiner is one of those underappreciated directing talents, and he seems incredibly kind of humble as well.
Yeah.
Do you think he doesn't really appreciate maybe what the talent he has?
I think it was, it's interesting you bring that up, Jim, because, here's a guy who came straight off already having made a cult classic in This is Spinal Tap, which we'd all seen, right? And many times in some cases. And so there was a lot of pressure on him, and he just finished Stand By Me as well. He was just editing that film while we were in prep. And so the studio had said to him, when he finished Stand By Me, or while he was doing the editing of Stand By Me, you know, what movie do you want to make? And he turned to his producing partner, Andy Scheinman, and said, well, they make movies out of books still. I'd love to make a movie out of my favorite book. Let's go and take a meeting on that. And so they went to the head of the studio at the time, and the head of the studio said, okay, whatever movie you want to make, anything at all, because he was on such a roll at that point. And Rob said, I want to make The Princess Bride. And the studio head went, anything but that. Because it had been a film that had been around for 10 years that people had tried to make, and it had been impossible. And at that point, Bill Goldman, the author, who wrote the book and the screenplay, had bought back the rights from the studio. He was so nervous about the way the film had been, you know, had very little reception, or good reception, I should say, from many different studios, that he felt like he wanted to just put it away. So Rob took a meeting with him, with Andy, and convinced him over lunch to let him make the movie, and that's how we got the movie made. I mean, it was literally like that.
The movie comes out and it's well received and it's a success, but it's Afterlife that really shows is a testament to the film.
Right.
Was there a certain point when you sort of were surprised and realized, wow, Princess Bride is sticking around with people and even growing its fandom as years go by?
Yeah. No, absolutely. It was almost a decade after it came out, because when the picture came out, you know, the title was kind of misleading a little bit also. Boys thought it was a girly movie, and a lot of grown-ups thought it was just a kid's film. And the studio had no way of knowing how to promote it. You know, was it an adventure film? Was it fantasy? Was it a love story? Was it a romance? What was it? They had no idea. Was it a comedy? And so the film kind of opened and closed, sadly. Right. And it wasn't until it came out in VHS when people started buying it and then renting it and giving it to family and friends as gifts. And I was in a restaurant in New York, and I was ordering a hamburger or something, and the waitress said, how do you want that done? I said, medium rare, and she went, as you wish. I went, what? What do you mean? And then that's when it sort of, the penny dropped. So this film that had been mostly dead for a decade suddenly came back to life. It was extraordinary.
Do you ever have people possibly misattribute other characters' lines to you or anything? I'm just wondering if, like, in
no,
collective
they're very
memory,
specific.
They are. Nobody goes up to you and goes, "Inconceivable."
No, well, and maybe I get one or two, but mostly they really want to quote your line. Like I'm lucky in that mine are three words, right? You know, Wally can't go anywhere without someone yelling one word at him every time. If he misses a bus or a train or elevator or something.
He can't look exasperated about anything.
That'll be his rosebud
That's
moment.
That's it for the rest of his life. God bless him.
And Mandy's got a whole speech.
Mandy's got a whole speech that people stop him and they want him to say it. So. I'm pretty lucky. I just got the 3 words, but it's incredible. When you think about Bill Goldman, how this film probably has more quotable lines than nearly any other movie that I can think of. It's incredible. And I think that's why Disney are now going to turn it into a musical on Broadway, because there's so much material. There's so many songs you can write. I mean, even Anybody Want a Peanut is a song.
Right. There you go. That's a showstopper. When you see now that not only is the fandom bigger than ever, but I think now it's sort of passing over to new generations. Now you go into Hot Topic and there's Princess Bride T-shirts, and
oh my
is it just kind of astounding to you to see that not just the continuing fandom, but like the new fandom that the film is always bringing in?
I call it the gift that keeps on giving. Like I said, when it came out in VHS, people were first renting it, then buying it, then giving it as gifts and sharing it. And I meet whole families, grandparents with their grandkids who've passed on their old copy and want me to sign it for them. And, sometimes the tape is just out there, and it's sweet, it's beautiful. It has had this shelf life with people, and people really seem to love the film. It's just extraordinary, and that's why I say we're so blessed. I think I can speak on behalf of everyone involved with it, that we can't believe that this film has had this, people have responded to it this way.
When you do a film, you never know if what kind of shelf life it will have. you've recently done a couple of movies, and I'd like you to tell us about them because who knows, maybe 25 years from now, if we're all still around, we'll be talking about them. So tell us about Sugar Mountain, right? And then the
Greens Are Gone.
The Greens Are Gone, which you guys filmed in
Boston.
In my hometown.
Your hometown.
That's right.
It was really beautiful. I loved going there. I hadn't been back there actually since I went and did research for Glory.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Did you get to see the monument we have there for Glory?
Oh, it's incredible. But actually, there's a library in I think it's either in Harvard, I can't remember where it was, where they've got all Robert Shaw's letters.
Right.
So I went in there and read them all and found out a lot about my character. The character I played was actually loosely based on two people, but it was enormously informative. And I loved going to Boston. It's such a beautiful town. It's just, I mean, it's rich in history and culture, and it's just vibrant. Anyway, we shot a film there called The Greens Are Gone with Catherine Keener, and it's a family drama. It's kind of an intense film, and Anton Yelchin is in it, and we had a lot of fun doing it. It probably won't be out till next year, probably in the spring, maybe. Because they're still editing it.
Right.
And I shot another movie around the same time, just before it, in Alaska, in a place called Seward, with a wonderful cast, Jason Momoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of kids that are just great. And it's called Sugar Mountain, and it's another family drama. So I did two family dramas back to back.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about Sugar Mountain?
Yeah, sure. Sugar Mountain is about these kids who decide that they've got debts, they're fishermen, and they've got debts, there was an injury on the boat, and they're probably going to lose their lease on the boat. And it's about two brothers, kind of like a Cain and Abel story. One's a really good kid, and the other one's a bad kid. And the bad brother decides he's going to fake his own death on the mountain, or being lost on the mountain, and then try and use that event of going missing to get interviews and get on TV and write a book and so on, and raise enough money for them to get their livelihood back. And I play the local police chief in this little town. It's a fictional town, Sugar Mountain, and I'm tracking them down. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Beautiful vistas. I mean, we had a great time there. It's just incredible canvas to work on. I don't know if you've ever been up.
No.
It's just stunning, absolutely stunning.
Well, that's what strikes me. But you're talking about filming back to back with Boston and Alaska, and how different, but both great places those are. Is that as an actor, it's one thing to travel somewhere and you do get to see a lot of beautiful places just traveling as a vacation. But when you're an actor and you're there for a few weeks, maybe a few months, depending on the project, is that an interesting experience, immersing yourself in these places and for a little while being a resident of these places?
What a blessing my life is. I think I can speak for most actors. You get to travel. When you get to shoot on location, it's a wonderful thing. You get to go to places that you normally would probably never visit. I mean, what are the chances I would ever go up to Seward, Alaska?
Right.
It's 2 hours north of Anchorage, and it's a beautiful little town. And the residents were just so nice. They opened their doors to us, and really, they were incredibly gracious. So we took over the town for a couple of weeks,
But also as an actor, though, you get to basically train with the best people in their disciplines in the world. Like, wasn't it Bob Anderson that trained you in fencing?
That's right.
This legendary swordsman.
He's an Olympic fencer. He was on the British Olympic fencing team, and he did all the sword fights as Darth Vader in the Star Wars trilogy. Yeah. And my other trainer, wonderful guy. They're both sadly passed on, but I talk fondly about them in the book. Is a guy called Peter Diamond, who was an incredible fencer as well in his own right, and a great stuntman. He played the Tusken Raider in the first.
Right.
Wow.
That was him. So there's kind of an interesting Star Wars connection to the film, and they were amazing.
Then we have to get you in the new Star Wars movies. That'll be our mission.
Have you seen those? Inevitably, they do with every great sword fight scene. Have you seen your scene with the lightsabers added in?
You haven't reached pop culture until you're
a Star Wars.
You've been lightsabered.
Like you've been lightsabered.
Yeah. Speaking about reaching pop culture and everything, and sort of the longevity of certain projects. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the first Saw film, and they're re-releasing it into theaters for Halloween. What do you attribute the sort of the lasting success of this small little horror movie. You know, it's like the little train that could, and,
Yeah.
and it spawned a whole franchise. So.
Yeah. Incredible. When I made the picture, again, you never know going into a movie whether or not it's going to be successful. You hope for the best. Everybody does. No one sets out to make a bad movie, you know. And we had a tiny budget. We were about $1 million. We had 18 days shoot, and we shot up at Lacey Studios there by Dodger Stadium. And we were stuck on one location for 18 days. I was chained to a wall. You know?
Right.
And,
Hi,
like
nice to
working
see
here
you.
at IGN.
Had your morning coffee and
that's it. No,
you're chained to the wall.
You definitely have to plan your bathroom breaks. But it was fun because James Wan, it was his first movie, but he was not a novice by any means. He'd come straight out of film school in Melbourne. And this was his pet project. I mean, he had it for a long, long time, been trying to make it, and even in Australia, and he couldn't raise the money there. And every studio turned him down. I mean, every single one said, no, it's not for us, it's too gory, it's too this, it's too that. And of course, interesting enough, it was my management company at the time, Evolution, who stepped up to the plate. And it was really fortunate for me because I was with them. And so I was the first actor they approached. And when I read the script, it was so, the ending was so novice. That right there got me. But also just the whole visual look of the piece. Because when I met James, he showed up with a portfolio of watercolors under his arm, and he proceeded to show me all these incredible drawings, ink and watercolor drawings. And he'd done them all himself, of the bathroom set, of the pig mask and the doll, the papier-mâché doll, which he helped make himself and traveled with.
Wow.
He even gave it its own first-class seat on the plane.
That had to be some conversations going through airport
He said,
security.
he goes, the stewardesses weren't too keen about that idea. But they were sweet and fun, and they made it, you know, we didn't sit down at all during the shoot. We were working that hard. We were averaging about 12 to 15 pages a day.
Wow.
And so we were just moving it, you know. And we had no idea. And then over the weekend, when it came out, it made $100 million. So we were blown away with that.
It's kind of the opposite. You know, Princess Bride was this slow build, but yeah, for Saw was that just a sort of different kind of wow moment of just seeing just how quickly something like you said, you made very low budget, and then, you know, just this very small movie that so quickly could resonate with people like
Incredible. Incredible. And I think, again, it's a testament to both Lee Winnell and James, who co-wrote the script. They had a very clear vision of how they wanted this film to look, especially James. And it's, you know, clearly he's a fantastic director. We can all see that now. And you know, it was his pet project. It was the one he wanted to do his whole life. So, you know, for a long time, I think he was under pressure from a lot of studios after he made the first one to just make $1 million films and do it again.
Right.
You know, and I think that got tired very quickly for him, you know. But now he's done all these incredible Insidious films,
Yeah.
and now he's doing Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
And so I'm so happy for him because he's earned it. He's such a great guy and a wonderful filmmaker and truly a visionary. And so I'm very happy for him. Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in here
Thank
today
you.
to talk about your
Thank
book
you, Jim.
Yeah.
and
Thanks
all
for
your
having me.
films.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks so
it.
much.
Thank you.